My name is Jennifer Shumate, and this is the performance task for the SEL position. As I reviewed the information included about Apple Elementary, I noticed some trends and patterns in the data. The first thing I noticed was that office referrals by location, there seemed to be an extremely high number of office referrals that happen in the classroom. This drew my attention compared to the number of referrals from other school locations. Almost half of the total referrals came from classrooms. Seemed like a high percentage, even considering the majority of a student's day is spent in a classroom. As I investigated further, I saw that there's a disconnect between the rules and the percentage of people who know them. Only 2/3 of students know the rules, and only 3/4 of teachers. This seemed to be a connection to the number of referrals and also left me questioning. Do we need to reteach PBIS rules, revise them? Should we consider changes to the rewards so teachers can use them well and students will value them? If the program isn't well implemented, it won't help teachers manage behavior and enforce the rules, and it also won't help students value the PBIS principles and rewards. With only about half of the students having been rewarded with an Apple Buck, and less than half of the staff having given one, it seemed to be a step we could take to improve behavior as well as help teachers positively reinforce school expectations. I also noticed the percentage or the number of out-of-school suspensions versus in-school suspensions. With such a high number of out-of-school suspensions, it worried me that we were using suspension as punishment where we could use it as an opportunity for restoration. This mindset shift towards restoration instead of punishment could be warranted. The number of out-of-school suspensions doubled from the previous year and represented about a 10% rate of suspension for a student body of 569, with 52 out-of-school suspensions. It seemed to directly correlate with the inconsistent positive behavior support in the building and led me to believe that more work on reinforcing positive behavior would be time well spent. I also noticed in the climate and culture data that as I moved on to climate and culture, it alarmed me that there didn't seem to be enough supportive relationships in place between teachers. In addition to only 63% favorable responses about school climate, as I dug deeper in the data, it showed me that positive attitudes among teachers were only 48% positive. This leads me to believe that as an SEL, it would be necessary to not only build relationships with teachers, but also help foster positive relationships among teachers. If the teachers can't trust and rely on each other, or their attitudes are often negative, it will have a negative impact on students at Apple Elementary. Perhaps one of the most alarming things I noticed was the growth mindset data from the staff survey. There was seemingly an air of blame instead of believing that they could impact change. With only 31% believing they could impact how much difficult students could learn from them, and even more alarmingly, only 25% thinking they can implement new teaching strategies, I was left wondering if teachers are not being provided meaningful professional development or if they don't believe they can or want to learn new things. Lastly, it seems there's a disconnect between parent support and parent respect. While 2/3 of parents are respectful towards teachers, only 41% were supportive when there were challenges with students. There's a need to foster and build this connection between stakeholders. The last thing I examined for trends was achievement data. While Apple Elementary met or exceeded the state's growth, there was a noticeable trend from 4th to 5th grade in achievement in ELA and math. This would lead me to spend some time in 4th and 5th to build relationships and look for root causes. As the oldest grade levels in the school, I would want to look for issues among teachers and students, especially in 5th grade. From my personal intermediate teaching experience, I know this age level can have specific social-emotional needs that may not be met outside of school. As a next step, I might look at a second step program or even consider Teach One, Lead One for these students. A focus on mentorship and building student leadership could positively impact achievement and behavior. Question number 2. What further data and or information do you want to collect and for what purpose? One of the first data points I would like to elaborate on is the classroom referrals. I'd like to have an opportunity to sort and categorize them to see what type of infractions are yielding referrals. This presents a twofold opportunity to look for trends across behavior types, work refusal, disrespect, safety concerns, etc., and also look for trends across teachers and grade levels. With a goal to make every classroom a productive, safe, and healthy learning environment for adults and students, it's a critical step to determine what is causing referrals in classrooms. I would also like to conduct additional surveying of staff and students regarding PBIS. It seems the rules are not enforced consistently, and also the positive reinforcements in place are not used well. With this in mind, it means teachers are not feeling the benefit that PBIS can provide, and neither are students. With the right rules and rewards in place, this program can be a powerful one. Information from teachers and students alike is needed to see why it isn't working. This can include beginning with a small committee and then moving to whole staff, or asking for information through an informal survey. Likewise, information about the disagreement between minor and major behavior incidents is also needed. With only 67% of staff in agreement about these categories, more consensus is needed between staff members to enforce the behavior expectations consistently. Question number 3. What are some potential next steps as you think about leading social emotional learning at Apple Elementary, and how would you lead your team in discussion about next steps? Before any change can be effected, I would need to spend some time observing what the climate feels like at Apple. No school can be summed up completely with just numbers on paper, so as a new SEL, my initial goal would be to build relationships with staff and students and be a good observer. Another important step would be to collaborate with school administration. No change can happen without collaborating with them. After these 2 important steps, the further gathering of information about discipline and rewards through PBIS seems like the right place to start. I would need to know what is in place for PBIS, including teacher leaders who use the program well, or participate in a committee related to PBIS. My goals would include enhancing and making necessary changes to help it benefit teachers and students, as well as improving employee engagement and leadership across the building. In order to do that, I would build relationships between myself and staff members, as well as foster them between staff members. I will only ask for and work towards meaningful change that has value for all stakeholders. And I'll model with actions the things I ask others to do. There's no such thing as do as I say. I firmly believe that we cannot hold students more accountable than we hold adults in schools. At Apple Elementary, some of the needed change is required by adults so that they can best meet the needs of students. Thank you.